So that's always, what's happening with the Rokus? Let me see. Yeah, you got a little spike in Roku already this morning. Woo! Look, we got probably maybe a 130 on this thing. Good morning. Guten Tag. Guten Morgen. Auf Wiedersehen, as they would say. You got all sorts of fun and games, right? Let's add this to the list. You're starting to see some pre-market action on the Roku. This one has been, what we like on this one is obviously the 110 break took it to 127. You got a nice kind of 2-day pullback on this bad boy. I like it. I think that's something we got to add in. It's going to be in play today. And frankly, Roku's not the easiest trader, but it's a good enough trader. I like it. Let's see here. Oh, thank you, Mac. Let me see what Mac's got here. The Mac attack. Oh, yeah. Dun, 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 dun. Apple TV, blah, 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 blah. Isn't Apple TV and Roku pretty much the same thing? Just, put a bunch of shit on there. Hey, watch a little Netflix, watch a little this. Whatever. Sounds good. We'll play. Cool. No other really good gappers here. So it looks like out of today, WWR, if you're one of the small cap guys, you're already getting over the 200 SMA. And by the way, guys, if you wake up early enough, you can shred these in the pre-market. I always find the pre-market trading a little bit easier on the small cap. So once they start to go, but it's a little bit of a personal preference. How's everybody doing? Cool. Yeah, you're seeing this one. As long as it hangs out over the 200, you're good to go. I won't be playing, but I will watch. Read up. This one's still holding up here, okay? The volume on this is usually fairly light, but last couple days it's been okay. We need to see at least 500,000 shares fire off in the morning before this thing is ready. And then we got to also look at what? What do we got to look at? The spread. Stock like this that's unknown, we're not really that familiar with it. We can already see that a lot of days it doesn't do a huge amount of volume. And then the price makes it so that there may be a spread. So if there's say, over a 50-cent spread, we should stay away from it. If the spread is under 50 cents or even if it's around 50 cents and the setup is there, we're good to go. The beauty on one of these type of trades that usually does happen is if it does set up and we try to take a run at this thing, well, it can move $5, $10, even $15 really quickly. So that's why we want to put it on. So keep that on. We'll be good to go. This Bimmy, I think probably the easy move has been done. Once you go from 1 to 9, that's the meat of the move. So I know a lot of you guys want to everybody wants to shred it after it's already made the move, right? Like yesterday as it's going, nobody wants to trade it. Now, it's on a day 2 and it's already up, 1,000%. Everybody wants to get a piece of it. Yeah, that's not really the ideal kind of way to do it. So this is a no for me. Same thing with SES. Like you've already had day 1, day 2. Day 3 of the move, you may get a little pop into this if it goes red to green, starts to push up. But you very well may double top up here and get smoked out. The one thing that happens on these kind of names too is once you go from 1 to 20 or 2 to 20, the monster candle is just around the corner. What I mean by the monster candles, this has happened to me a few times, where you have a couple thousand shares of this thing or 1,000 shares of this thing, and you turn your head for a second, and you get that monster $5 candle just come down. And these are this was actually fairly orderly, even though it dropped a lot. This was fairly orderly. I'm talking about $3, $4, $5 candle where even if you had a stop loss, it wouldn't matter. You'd lose an extra dollar just because everybody's just dumping on it. So those are kind of things you got to be a little bit careful on. It looks like Schwab, SCHW. Schwab has earnings out. Man, I would be surprised if Schwab actually holds this gap. this is actually probably a candidate for a gap reversal, meaning this thing is bouncing up at like $2 into resistance. You know, the news on this thing has been horrific, right? So, like usually a stock like this, like it's often a candidate for an opening gap reversal. So just kind of keep mind of that. APHA, what's the news on this? Anybody see it? APHA, fiscal Q1 tops estimates, misses on revenues. APHA shares the more. So these guys actually made money? Is that what they're saying? APHA. Well, you know what? We can add this. It's not an ideal type of play. And the reason is it's just going to gap into resistance. But if it starts to hold and kind of grind later into the day, you know, sometimes like an unloved stock like this can get moving. So it's going to move thick. Anybody ever trade AMD? Anybody ever trade AMD? AMD moves real thick. It moves, right? Like when you're getting it, it can move, but like you're not going to get like $1 or $2 candle intraday out of AMD. What's going to happen is it's going to go, and like 10 minutes later, it's going to be up 10 cents. Then 15 minutes later, it's going to be up another 10 cents. Then 15, 20 minutes later, it's going to be up another 10 cents. 15, 20 minutes later, it's going to be up. And for like, when you guys are in the chat room, right, what do we usually do? We short something, and by the time you're like fiddling with something, it's like, boom, we're covering for 50 cents. We're covering for 80 cents. And it's like, the candle hasn't even finished out. You don't get that with AMD. Same type of deal will happen with APHA. It just doesn't have that hot heat in terms of its float structure and stuff, how it moves. So, you know, kind of keep mind of all that too. Yeah, WWR is cruising right now. It's still not stopping. So how you want to play this if you really want it, it's going to be really the first dip. Like, okay, so now it's spiking up. What's that first dip that happens on it? Like as it starts to pull back, shake everybody out. It's going to start to trap people. It's going to trap people. So it's going to start to pull everybody down. And then you're going to think, oh my gosh, it's a short, it's a short, it's a short. And then boom, it's off to the races. So just kind of be mindful of those things as they're going. Yeah, it looks like UNH has got earnings out. And this may not be much of anything so far. What do you think? Yeah, that's like another one that like usually I look at these more for reversals than actually longs because they're gapping up into the middle of nowhere. So I don't really like those that kind of action. Now, if that APHA juice, if this APHA holds, say this thing holds and it starts to build over 550, you'll start to see a little bit of moves in CGC and stuff like that. If APHA rolls over, then you're going to see all these roll back red. So keep them on watch. They're going to be in play today, the pot names. It's more of a matter of, did they actually hold up, start the ORB and build, let the trend set over the VWAP, or do they reverse back? So you just got to be mindful of those things as they're starting to go. Cron's going too. Yeah. The issue with TLRY, we were looking at this the other day, is, man, the spread has just been awful in it. Like, it's, first of all, it's just moving as choppy as all get out. You know, I had that one sick day, and this was amazing, and then the volume's just dried up on it. If if TRI does like 2, 3, 4 million shares, it works fine. What happens is like when it gets to like the 1 million shares, the spread gets on it like 20, 30 cents, and it's just gonna, ooh, Yuma, junk, TRNR, junk. Now PAGs, this could be something we may want to play with. Dun, dun, dun. Anybody see any news on PAGs? This is a nice breakdown over here. Not much volume on it just yet, though. 40,000 shares is probably enough. But this is a key breakdown. You can see test. Like if you get a stock like this and you ORB back to the downside, that's a pretty good one. All right? So this is a stock that's been, number one, what do you see here? This is a stock that's been in a big trend from $17 for the last year. Number two, software stocks lately, when they get hit with bad news, what do? They've been getting smoked out, right? Smoked out like a schoolgirl on prom night. It's gonna be nasty. So if we hold under 43, we're good to go, all right? Hold and build under 43. When you think about day trading and you think about opening range patterns, the big thing to do when you take opening range patterns, it's got to hold below the support on the daily. That's when you can take the trade intraday. So be mindful of this. This is so far my favorite, but somebody dig up, see if it was an offering or if it was actually earnings. Oh, undisclosed size. Thank you, Mr. Vickers. What's up, Bri? You a good man. ACP, blah, 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 blah. Junk. So you can see here, let's take a look at the general market here real quick. Market was flat to down yesterday. It opened down and it was flat all day. Now we're gapping up a slight bit here. The market's having a little bit of trouble at these old highs. You know, we kind of tested a little bit in pre-market. Now, if we get over this 192.50, then that's when I think the bull comes back and we kind of run to the top of this range. There's a few things to watch, though. Even while the market was flat yesterday and the market's opening up pretty flat today, this TVIX, which measures volatility and fear, has been bleeding out. So it was bleeding out all day yesterday. And by the way, you can short these at some brokers. It's already bleeding out down 5% today. So the market's opening up pretty much flat, but TVIX, right, the volatility, the VIX is telling you a sign that, hey, there's not fear in the market right now. Things are looking hunky-dory. When the market thinks things are looking hunky-dory, usually you start to grind higher. So this is always something you want to keep on your list. And then, of course, if we fail, then we can skip and reverse and do all that fun stuff. Setting join my mid cap, blah, 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 blah. That's junk. That don't mean shit. All right, cool. So let's kind of clean this up a little bit here. All right. So we got Retta, WWR, Roku, Pags. These are our gappers for today. Danny, what's up, baby? How you been? What's going on in California? What's going on in the OC? Yeah, rock and roll. So those are the gappers for today. Now let's talk about the non-gap stocks, right? I still got this LVGO on watch for a potential fade. It's got to break under these lows right here. SDC, man, we shredded this thing's D yesterday. There's shred and then get shredded, but we shredded this thing. We took this thing right at the open, and then, we were trading around it all day and then kind of hit this end of day bear fly. Woo! Guys, a stock like this is the money maker. This is the one that's been paying us for the last 2 weeks. It's right at that sweet spot where it's got tons of volume, and it's like a cheaper price, but it's not necessarily a small cap. It's a $4 or $5 billion company. This thing has been paying the bills for us lately. We've been you take a few thousand shares short every day, and it's been given like sick range, $1, $2. I think that this one, we got to watch this thing for green to red again today. Now, my guess is by the end of the week, the volume dies off on this thing. Almost everybody's basically starting to sell out of this thing. At some point, it's going to reach an equilibrium. So once again, we'll have a good play on this. If it goes green to red, Danny, you read my mind. D-Dog is another one that had a nasty day yesterday. See this bad boy? You got some sick intraday range here. Notice how this thing stopped up and then it just fizzled under the VWAP. This is number 2 for today. I like this one a lot for a potential short. If we need longs, I'm actually thinking one more thrust on crowd. One more thrust down on crowd. We're going to get a double bottom on this one. We got a 14 stochastic, so you're starting to get a little bit oversold. I like this one for a potential long if it gets near 52-ish. If it, say, spikes up today, 56, 57, not as interested, even though it is down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days in a row, so it is due for a bounce. Ideally, you want it to come back closer to support before you get into this thing. Does that make sense? Cool. JNUG is moving around pre-market. We're going to clean out the list a little bit. JNUG's moving around. Watch this area here. This is 57. 57.66 is your 200 SMA. You can see in the pre-pre, this thing's already farting down. So market's opening up fairly flat, but gold miners are getting smoked. TVIX is dropping 5%. So even though the market itself is opening fairly flat, there are industries, right, that we use to measure like what's going on underneath the hood of the market that are falling down. So there's a chance we get a little slip and slide, rip and ride, a little shake and bake today on the markets. Watch this Nugalicious. If it gets under 200, it may just bleed out at this point. What you have here is lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. You know, the next bounce, if it like pops down here, it'll probably just break down. That's what happens with the JNUG, the Nugalicious. It gets pumped for like 2-3 months and then it just dies down. So just kind of keep mindful of these things. We get it. If we get this thing on SDC, if we get this thing up to 10, we take this thing short. All right? We get this thing up to 10, we take this thing short. Man, you know what? Did anybody read the news on this shit? It's like literally people's teeth are falling out. They're going to Smile Direct and their teeth are falling out. That just ain't right. You know, people got enough phobias about their teeth, man. I got a buddy of mine, he's got a crooked tooth. Never smiled. 25 years I know this guy. Never smiled in even one photo. He's got the snaggle tooth. You know what? You got a snaggle tooth. You haven't taken a picture in 25 years with your friends, and all of a sudden you go to Smile Direct and your teeth fall out? That just ain't right. That just ain't right. As Americans, we've got to short this thing. We just have to. Siggy Bear. You know what? I actually thought this thing was going to break out, but watch this thing here. If it dumps under this like 1540, if you look at the hourly, you can see here, you got a nice sweet spot on this thing. If this thing dumps under like 1540, it's done. So Siggy Bear, we've traded Siggy Bear for years back and forth. Never really on the long side, but you can see it's just in a monster cock downtrend. Sorry for that. Monster downtrend. And if you get under this spot on the hourly, like this thing is ready to go. Yeah, Pablo. I think, you know what, we'll be playing around the JNUG back and forth. The one thing you got to be careful with JNUG is you got the gap down here, but this thing was at $70. You know, you could very well bounce at this spot too. So you're going to have to be, today is going to be a very tricky day to trade JNUG because you're going to be at a bounce spot, but the intraday price action is weak. Guys, if you have like two things that don't match, so like think you're in day trading, you want to be a day trader, right? And the intraday price action does not match like what you think should be happening or what is happening on the daily chart. So what you have is like you don't have time frame alignment. And we don't have time frame alignment, you get mixed messages, but also what it makes you do is you end up kind of thinking the stock is a long, then you think it's a short, then you think it's a long, then you think it's a short, and you just get in this like spin cycle of despair. Anybody ever done that where it's like you're in this stock and you're like long, and then you're short, and then you're long, you're short, long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short, and before you know it, you're like, I don't even know who I am anymore, right? And that's what happens sometimes when, you know, you have the intraday, like the gap is saying down, but the daily chart is also kind of saying it could bounce here, but then the overall trend is down. You have a little bit of confusion. Next thing you know, boys are peeing in the girls' bathroom, girls are peeing in the boys' bathroom, and then now the boys and girls are peeing together just in the open air in the middle of the parking lot because there is no rules and there is nothing governing the behavior of what you need to do. So if you don't want to do that stuff, you go time frame alignment, meaning I like the daily chart, I like the intraday chart, and I do not believe in open defecation in public spaces. That's where we put our foot down. That's the type of shit that happens in India, my people. So I know about this stuff, and frankly, I pooped in a couple fields in my day. No big deal. You had a concert or something, and you gotta go, and you don't want to do it in a porta potty. I was at Woodstock 99. We had to do stuff. All right? There's no judgment. Woodstock 99 was a very, very weird time. It was very strange, and you had to do things that you didn't want to do, and it was very hot. So, what are you going to do? So that's my problem with JNUG is that, you don't have a time frame alignment, and I'm against open defecation. Make sense? Cool. So we got Rita WWR. Good. Hey, Anna, how you doing, baby? Hey, Donnie, what's up? Hey, Donnie, man, where the borrows at today? Man, everybody's asking me about this Beamy. I don't think I'm going to be trading this today. Could you short it? Sure. You could short it and, ruin your life. Or you could short it and make a killing. This one is going to be really, really tricky. Man, the volume's there and stuff. This was going to, when it wants to go, it's going to go. And at some point when you're not looking, it'll just fizzle out. And once it starts to make lower lows, lower highs, then, at that point, that's when you can short it. All right. Roku. You know what? Roku could hold up. I think this thing could get to 129 in the next couple days, but it's also in between. Oh, man, Donnie's got the borrows on Bimmy. See, if you want to short it, you want a little stress, you get with Donnie. He's got the borrows. All right, so let's just summarize all this, whatever just happened here. Let's just summarize whatever just happened here for the last few minutes. All right. Top plays for today. This Rita. All right, we're breaking out to all-time highs. They got some news out. Caveat on this is going to be, is there a spread? And can they kick off minimum 500,000 shares in volume at the open? All right. WWR, which I will not play, but WWR, watch the first dip on this bad boy. If it starts to hold, what I mean by first dip is this. If you're looking at, say, a 5-minute chart, what will often happen on these, these kind of names, and this will happen on even regular stocks. Say you open at 10 or 11. You'll start to just shake out $8, $9, $7. You'll drop a lot, and you'll think holy crap, this thing is over. Then you start to round. You start to hold at your 9 EMA, and then boom, when you pop over that VWAP, you're off to the races. This is just like a telltale setup that when I had a full head of hair and I was trading small caps that I would have done. I don't like doing it anymore. I'm too old. But that's what you want to look for. So if you look at WWR, it's shooting up too much, too fast. All right, 148%. You can't be just trying to buy this thing right up at high. So what you got to do is the same kind of deal as SES. When you take this thing, let it pull back, all right? Let it pull back. Let it hold. Let it start to marinate. Build that marination station. As it starts to hold, your 9 EMA catches up, then you go. Let the stock tighten up, okay? The tightness of range is the key to explosion. The tightness and the consolidation of momentum is what builds power. It's what builds rest so that you can keep going. If you don't have that, you have no way to measure your risk, but you also don't have the explosion that you need to get this thing going. So phase for today, SDC for day 2, Siggy for the breakdown, D-Dog. Woo, this one's looking good too. These IPOs in the dumper, crowd for potential bounce. And then we got these Gappas, all right? We got a few of them. Now, earnings season is supposed to be starting. First of all, in the beginning of earnings season, they always take the shitty ones and do it. So you're going to get shit like JP Morgan and United Healthcare and stuff that you can't really trade. But as the next week starts to roll on, we're going to get better and better earnings play. So be mindful of that stuff and be careful. One thing about earnings season, so the market's been very slow for the last couple weeks. Everybody's chomping at their bits on wanting to play stuff. Doesn't matter. What typically can happen sometimes in earnings season is you get so excited because there's so many plays going. You start over trading. You can't focus. I do that all the time. You start to see all this shit running around. Next thing you know, you have 3-4 positions. You forgot what you're in. they're all moving around. You start getting sweaty, your palms starting to sweat, and you just overloaded. So during this season, even though it's been slow, what we need to do is really, you want to kind of tier your list. Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3. Tier 1s are hot stocks that are ready to go right now, right? That's like your SDC, your D-Dog, things that we know how to trade, setups that we like. A Tier 2 are like stocks that are hot, but they need a little bit of work. They're a little bit of a butterface. They got to lose a little weight. Then a Tier 3 is stocks that you just trade every day. So for me, Crowd, Roku, JNUG, these are like stocks that we trade every single day for the last few months. Those are Tier 3s. We never take them off the list. You got to tier them Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, or whatever tiering system you want, because if you don't, then, man, you're going to be all over the place. So let's trade well today. Man, it's been a fun, you know what, even with the slow market, we've been doing pretty good in the chat room last few weeks, man, mostly on this SDC and a handful of other names. All you need is one or two, right? All you need is one or two to get the thing going. Try not to get too overzealous on this BME and SCES. Man, I get always a little bit heebie-jeebies once you start seeing stocks go up like 2,000%. You really in some trouble. So let's be good today. You know what we got to do. You know what time it is. All right? As always, and by the way, thank you everybody for coming in. Free chat day. Free chat day was awesome last week. I'll make sure to do one maybe in a couple weeks. You guys more than welcome to join us in the Discord room. I'm trading live, on screen share, jibber jiving, listen to music, doing what we do. Let's make some money today. And of course, if anybody needs something, hit me up. Let's make some money. All right, everybody ready to roll? Showtime. It's go time. Yeah.